to go to a natural, beautiful thing like that and hear someone else's music. But he's in Kakadu National Park chopping a tree down. Drinking all night, music blaring all night, no respect for anyone else in that campground. Oh my gosh, this is Kakadu. If your fire gets out of control, you know, it's on you if something happens to these people. And to their credit, they took it in, they weren't rude about it. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible seeing that. So ambers weren't blowing up, they were blowing across the ground. And I don't know how this place didn't burn down.
They're not going to be able to hear you. You've got to yell at the camera.
G'day everyone, Adam here, going Overland. Another week, another video. And look, I've filmed this video on our lap of Australia and I haven't shared it yet. And look, the idea keeps racking around in my mind, why haven't I shared it? And to tell you the truth, well, all our videos are being about truth, a real lap of Australia, a realistic lap. And I feel that not sharing this, I haven't been completely truthful with you guys. So, this happened in Kakadu, and Kakadu is an amazing place, and it is well worth it. And what happened in Kakadu to us could happen anywhere in the world. So it's not just to say don't go to Kakadu. Kakadu is spectacular. Definitely go to Kakadu. But we just want to share the experience, what happened to us in that national park. I don't know why it was specifically there. I think maybe being closer to a capital city seems to be the case. But yeah, I want to share with you guys what happened and you know, share the whole truth. It wasn't anything too bad or too sinister, but it was just, you'll see. Anyway, make sure you give us a thumbs up. It really helps our channel out. And yeah, leave a comment if this has happened to you too. Cheers, guys. Alright, so the first incident, okay, let's go through it. Okay, we had a week and a half in Kakadu. Oh my gosh, this is Kakadu. This is, when you see and think of Kakadu in your mind and you see it on videos and stuff, this is what you see. We come in from Darwin side and hit Cales Crossing for the first official night in Kakadu. From there, we set up camp and raced up to Ubia art site, which is fantastic. It's a sacred site up there, so much artwork. It was fantastic. Done all the walks through there, saw the artwork, videoed what we could, didn't video what we're not supposed to, you know, and it was a very humbling experience seeing the site up there. As we were leaving the car park, there's a group of people coming in, radios blaring, drinking, yahooing. I just felt really embarrassed being there with that group of people because they were just showing no respect at all to the place. Kakadu is a national park, but it's leased off the indigenous people. It's indigenous land. And look, it's not a party zone. It shouldn't be treated like that. So the group of people that I'm talking about is us travellers. And I'm sure I made mistakes there. I'm sure we're not perfect. So this video is not to pinpoint specific people. It's to hopefully educate us all, because I didn't know a lot about the place either. And the rules there. So number one rule is you're not allowed to drink there. All right. There's a couple of campgrounds where you can drink. Everywhere else, you're not supposed to drink. So to see these people walking into a sacred site drinking, It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible seeing that. Later on that night, they tried to camp at Cahill Crossing in the national park there. And I got to say, hats off to the ranger there, because he saw him racing into the car park at top speed, music blaring. He raced around to where they were about to set up and said, "No, you're not allowed in here. You're not camping in here. Get out." And hats off to him, because all the other campers in there, they would have had the same experience where those people would have been drinking all night, music blaring all night, no respect for anyone else in that campground. And yeah, so big hats off to that ranger who stood up to that big group, right? I didn't see it happen. If I was there, I would have backed up as a ranger. But he told us about it later on. Alright, so we had a few other nights in the park. We hit all the top places that you got to see. The information centres up there are fantastic. A great way to learn about the place. Highly recommend it. And in fact, I recommend getting a travel book for Kakadu before you go there, because it's such a big place. And we were a little bit lost as what we should be seeing, what we could miss because of time restrictions. The last couple of nights in the park, we stayed at Barramundi Gorge. Beautiful spot. The campground has been run down. There's no management on that side anymore, and it shows. It's really poorly maintained. So the first day there, we go up to the gorge for a swim. Beautiful gorge, huge expanse of water, nice and warm, big beautiful waterfall flowing even in the end of the dry season. And when we get there and look at this, all we can hear is music thumping like over the waterfall sound. And it was a group of travellers, young travellers, right, at the top of the falls, where no one could tell them to turn the music off, just cranking the music the whole time. And it was...
It'd be a lot better if someone wasn't playing stupid stereo on the waterfall.
Yeah.
Just focus on the sound of the waterfall. Some people just can't enjoy the peace and quiet of nature. I don't get it.
It was poor. It was. To go to a natural, beautiful thing like that and hear someone else's music over the top of everything, it was dreadful. It was really put a sour taste in your mouth. Thankfully, when you're in the water swimming right next to the waterfall, you couldn't hear it. But when you were further back, that's all you could hear is this music. So look, I don't know what to say about that. It's common sense. People doing that, they just don't care. There's nothing you can say to them that'll make them change their mind.
This is a lovely little spot, and it's just amazing. I think it's even better because there is no one else here. And I mean, we like other people, but sometimes just getting a spot where you can just sit and enjoy the silence and the beauty of nature, where there's not some idiot playing music that's overtaking the sound of the waterfall. Like this is the sound, the relaxing sound of the waterfall, and just your surroundings, and just being absorbing yourself in it. That's the word. That's the word. Absorb yourself in it. Enjoy it.
Alright, so the last thing I want to talk to you about in the park that happened was at the campground there. End of the dry season, everything looks like it could just go up in with one matchstick. The place was so dry. And then the wind picked up, and it was gusting, and it was blowing all different directions, and it was crazy. And probably about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, a group of travellers starting to set up camp, and I hear chop, 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 and I look up, and here's this bloke chopping down a tree, a standing tree. It had dead limbs on it, maybe it was dead, but he's in Kakadu National Park chopping a tree down. And I just shook my head, and I thought, I can't stand by and watch this happen, all right? First of all, I was a bit afraid. If they're chopping that tree down, are they going to have a huge bonfire that night? So I walk up to them, and to their credit, they were very respectful, and they took it in, and they took notice. And they were young blokes, so look, to their credit, they did the right thing, all right? I went up to him and said, "Oi, you're in Kakadu National Park. You cannot be cutting a tree down." The other bloke came walking out of the bush with some timber, and he said, "What about this?" I said, "I don't think you're allowed to collect it in the campground." So they pretty much stopped, and they said, "Can we have a campfire?" And I said, "Look, you can, but with these conditions, you're responsible for all these other campers in this campground. If your fire gets out of control, you know, it's on you if something happens to these people." And to their credit, they took it in, they weren't rude about it, and they didn't have a fire. They just sat around a light, and hats off to them, all right? Really good to see young blokes just being able to listen to someone, you know, I'm not old, but, you know, just to listen, took it in, weren't rude about it, and, you know, it was great. It was really good. The problem I had was the bloke camped right beside him, right, probably my age, young family with him, seen all that happened, heard it all happen, 5 minutes later drove off for firewood and had a big fire that night. And the wind is gusting, and I can see from where our kitchen table, embers blowing every direction. And Larissa said to me, "Hook the car up, because if something happens, we got to get out of here quick." And she was right. So we hooked the car up, and you could smell, he would have been about 40 meters away, and with certain gusts of wind, you could smell the smoke. That's how the wind was blowing. So embers weren't blowing up, they were blowing across the ground. And I don't know how this place didn't burn down. And all the other campers in that campground, hats off to them, they didn't have a fire. But this one bloke, he had to sit around the fire, and it was 30 degrees at 9 o'clock at night. It was hot. You don't need a fire. He didn't cook on it. He had a Weber barbecue. He had a camper trailer with a stove on it. He just sat around it drinking all night. And look, to tell you the truth, I was a bit afraid. I slept with one eye open that night. And, you know, like I said, this is an educational video. This is not to point fingers at people, but look, you've got to use a bit of common sense when you're camping. Just because you've got all the bells and whistles like an axe and a chainsaw and stuff doesn't mean you need to use it. All right, just because you're camping doesn't mean you have to have a campfire. I can't remember when we last had a campfire just because of the conditions up here. It's hot, it's dry, it's windy. There's no water. If this place here catches fire, you ain't putting it out. All right, Mother Nature will put it out when it rains, which could be in a month from now. So look, just try and use your common sense when you're camping. If you don't need a fire, don't have a fire. I don't know why you need music at a waterfall. It's bad enough at a campground, but when you go to somewhere where masses of people come to enjoy a spot, you ruin it for everyone, but those people can't be told. And look, you go to somewhere like Kakadu, look, maybe they should have a big billboard with all the rules before people go in. Maybe they should sign a declaration saying they understand all the rules. But to be drinking in a place where you're not supposed to drink, sacred sites where you should be showing a lot of respect, I don't know what the answer is for that. If you guys know, put it in the comments below. If I'm just being a grumpy old bastard, let me know. I don't know, I just thought, I was embarrassed to be a traveller in that site with those people. It was embarrassing. It was, yeah, I don't know what to say. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Hope you just listen and take it in. I don't want to blame people or anything, but maybe a lack of education is more what it comes down to than the people themselves. So yeah, all I can say is enjoy Australia, enjoy travel, use some common sense. Maybe look at, if you're going to a specific place like Kakadu, check out the rules before you go in there and understand what you're going into. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Sorry for the rant. Cheers.